Hi, welcome to PHP and MySQL. We are going to continue eg003 part 2. And so we have been doing this, okay? And you can always pause the video when I'm going too fast because, when you try to make videos, you don't want to just make it real slow or else the video is too long. You can always pause it if you cannot follow. So this is where we stopped in the last video. So we have the borrow amount. The second thing you want is the interest rate. What I can do now is really easy. I can just copy this set of labels, Control C to copy, Control C to copy, and then do a Control V to paste. Okay. And Control V to paste, and Control V to paste. Control S to save. Obviously, you cannot have three investment names. There's three names with the same definition. You define them the same as investment. That's not going to work. Okay. So we have to fix that. All right, so the second is not borrow amount, second is interest rate. And then we have to change the name to interest rate. The name must be the same, must not be the same. Must not be the same, or else they are not going to get the correct value. The third one is number of years. The name is years. Control S to save. Okay, so now we're good, but this is a very bad form because you cannot submit the form. Okay, so we have to create a submit button. So for the submit button, we are going to create another div tag because we want another ID, and ID has to be put into some tag. And the name of the ID is buttons. Okay, and create a label. The label is going to have a non-special character called non-breaking space, which basically means blank. Okay. And then we need a submit button. So it's a submit button here. The value is, say, calculate. Control S to save, reload. So now we have the first form done really easily. And then we can submit the first form to the second file, okay, which is eg003 process. So let's say we borrow $1,000 at a 20% yearly interest rate, and number of years is 30. We calculate you should go to the second page. But right now, obviously, we don't have the second page. As you can see here, we don't have the second page. The process is not there. If you calculate, you get an error message. Boom, error message, not found. And you can see the URL because they are looking for the second file. Okay, so we have to do that. But before that, let's make this file look slightly better. Investment at the back, probably you should put like a non-breaking space, blank dollars. Okay. And then the second one, percentage. So you actually don't need space here. HTML is not going to read the space, but I put a space there so that it's easier for me to see. Control S to save. All right, so we have all the things here. The space is created by the special character, non-breaking space. So if you put space here, it's just for human. Okay. All right, error message. Let's fix that. So the first thing I want to do is I want to create a second page. The best way to create a second page is copy my first page because they look the same and then change the title, right? Or we keep the title the same so the user doesn't know because it changes so fast, they think it's on the same page. So we're going to copy eg003 input, right click copy, right click paste, or you can Control C, Control V, that's fine too. So we have the second file, we have to rename the second file to eg003 process, and then open the eg003 process in Notepad++. So now we have the input, we have the main, we have the process. Now we can start changing things. So we have the eg003 input that calculator. Okay, if you want them to look different, you can actually change the title. But yeah, I'm fine with it. We can just keep the title the same. It's fine. Okay. And then we have the main is the same, H1 is the same, but we don't need a form anymore. So we are going to delete the whole form. Just press the backspace or delete button on your keyboard, depending on what you have. Delete it. So we are going to capture the value and show it here. Okay, so now we have the first file. When we calculate, we have a second file, which is blank. And if you look at the URL, you know that this is the second file. Okay, let me just keep the URL so you know how it works. If you go back, that's the first file. Calculate is the second file. So before you even to do calculation, you need to pass the value in this input text boxes to the second file. So let's get the values. Okay. So the values are captured into the text boxes with these names, investment, interest rates, and years. In the second file, you want to capture those things and save into variables. And the best place to get that is actually before anything happens, on top, even before the doc type. So you create a PHP tag. Now you're doing PHP before the file even load the first HTML tag. You're going to capture the values. Okay. So we're going to save the first value into a PHP variable called investment. And note that there's a $sign. So this investment is a PHP variable. And this investment is a name for a HTML tag. They are different things, although they are both called investment. And then there is something called filter input, which is a PHP function that take in a lot of variables. The first one is called input post because we use post method. Okay. The second one is called investment, which is the name of the HTML text box. The first one is, do you want to validate? Okay, so this one gives you a kind of validation function. So to block unauthorized access to a page. So yes, I only want to take floating point numbers. If it's not floating point number, this function is going to return something called false, which is a Boolean. If it's a floating point number, it's actually going to capture the number and put into investment. Okay. All right. So let's see before we even do anything, before we even put this in the value here, I'm going to just echo investment. Okay, let's see what we have. So now we have investment should be 1,000, right? So capture 1,000. You get a value. Very good. Okay, but putting the value here is not very productive. You want to put a value here to make it look better, right? Okay, so we are going to do a little bit of formatting. We are going to say we want to add $sign in front. We want to put the value, put 2 decimal places at the back to make it look better, make it look professional, right? It's a banking website, so you want to make it look professional. So we are going to do formatting. We don't need this. We are going to do a formatting. Create another variable, investment F, format equal to, add a $sign in front, join with the number format investment, 2 decimal places, 2 decimal places. So we created a new variable called investment F that looks pretty. And then we are going to put it below here. Okay. Borrow amount is, that's going to create a, okay, we need to put PHP code now, but the PHP code has to be somewhere, right? Wrap around a tag or something. And we want it to be aligned properly. So we are going to create a span tag, which basically does nothing here other than mainly for formatting. And inside the span tag, we're going to wrap a PHP around it. And say we are going to echo the investment F we have just created here. Control C, Control V, semicolon, Control F. Go back here, calculate. Oops. So there's a syntax error, okay, on line 23. Okay, so what did I do wrong? I have an extra $sign here. That is not good. Control S, save. All right. So now, as you can see, the first page when you submit, user doesn't even notice. Most users don't look at the URL, so they don't even know that is the file changed. Okay, so we capture the value, store here for calculation, and store here for formatting. Okay. All right. So let's do the same for the yearly interest rate and number of years. So now I can copy, right? Because the thing works here. So I'm going to copy yearly interest rate. I'm just going to copy this line, Control C, Control V, and change the variable name to interest rate. And then the, oh, I want to mention, so this is the post method, the definition for the post method, okay? The constant for the post method, sorry, forgot the word. Constant for the post method. If you want to use a get method, here, you have to change this to get, okay? All right, let's continue. So this is the name of the second text box, which is interest rate. Just remember how interest rate spells. Okay. And then the interest rate is going to be formatted as well. We're going to create, I'm just going to copy this. Yearly rate F is going to be, obviously you don't need a $sign and you don't need a number format. So you just say but you need a $sign at the back. So you copy the interest rate here and put it over here, Control S to save. And then you want to output your interest rate somewhere here. Again, I can copy everything. Control C, Control V. Instead of borrow amount, we say interest yearly interest rate. And then we echo the interest rate F here. Control S, finger crossed, so you give you 20%, right? Yep, yearly interest rate is 20%. Okay, good. Now we want to capture so we have the interest rate here, which is 20, and we output it here, okay? The third thing we want is the years. Years probably we don't even need to format, so we just say, copy this, put it here, and say years is a new variable you created with a S, post, and the name of the text box is years, if I remember correctly. But you have to change this because it's not, you don't want a floating point number for years. You don't want half a year, 0.5 years, 0.4 years. Calculation is not going to work for the interest rate. So we're just going to put integer, int here. And we don't need years format, I think, because years is years, right? So we put over here below. We're going to capture this, copy that. And then the last one is number of years is years. Control S to save, reload, calculate. So years is 30, okay? So you don't need to add any format to the years. No $sign, no percentage, so number of 3 years. So now we can do calculation, right? How much you own the bank after 1 year, how much you own the bank after 2 years, and so on and so forth. So let's do the calculation. Okay, so we're going to do the calculation next. All right. But my video is getting really long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new video. Okay, save this one, create a new video, and then carry on from there. So in this video, we did something great, right? We captured the 3 values, and then we submit to the second page, save the 3 values here, and then we formatted some of them and put it nicely, make them look pretty, and put it here. Okay. All right. I'm going to pause here and come back real quick for the calculation. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye.